Yeah, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com with World of Tanks. This video is going to be about crew skills, and I've made other videos about crew skills, but I really didn't understand enough about the game at the time that I made those videos, so I had to kind of start all over again. If you've seen my earlier videos, you should disregard some of the things that I've said because I've got new information now. First, we're going to go through the commander. Now, the commander has the most interesting variety of skills. So what I do is for many of my tanks, I make the commander have more skills. So for example, I have tanks where the commander has 4 skills and everyone else might only have 3 skills. So this tank has 4 skills for everybody. And what I'll do is I'll take the loader who has 4 skills and swap him with another tank to make him into a commander. So he can be a 4-skilled commander for another tank that might be lacking it. For example, my light tank, the T-49, only has 2 skills for the gunner. And what I can do is I can make this loader the gunner, so I'll have a 4-skill gunner, and then make turn this loader into 2 skills. So that's what I do, and it allows me to get more a variety of skills with the commander. And it's a trick that you might want also to use. You want to get Sixth Sense as quickly as you can. It will keep you alive in the game. Fact. BIA is very important. It improves all sorts of things here, such as your aiming time and dispersion and the DPM, and it will affect your view range and maybe your signal range, and all sorts of different things get affected by BIA. So it improves the overall tank. For example, you reload faster. So that's why I recommend getting BIA as fast as you can. Now, Jack of all trades is really good because it reduces your reliance on the first aid kit. I have the Jack of all trades, and once I get it, I remove the first aid kit and replace it with something else, such as a food consumable or the high-octane gasoline. Recon lets you see further. I'm one of the top spotting players in the game. On the North American server, I'm ranked number 9 overall for spotting, and I have recon and situational awareness and spotting capability on every tank that I own because I play on the front lines. You might have a different playing style, but that's what I use. Now, things like repairs, concealment, and firefighting, they're common among everybody. So you want to use these with people like your loader and radio operator because they're going to have less interesting skills. So you want to make sure that they have those. However, I do also recommend them for your commander. I would put concealment first because being hidden keeps you alive in the game. Repairs depends on whether or not you have repair kits. If you have less repair kits, you might want to have repairs. You use repairs more often than you use firefighting, so firefighting has to come last. And if everybody has firefighting, you can probably get rid of your automatic fire extinguisher. And I did get rid of my automatic fire extinguisher on every tank because I just don't catch on fire often enough to justify using the slot for that item. Now you have Mentor. I used to swear by it. I used to have Mentor on every commander. And the reason why it's a 10% bonus, whether you win, whether you lose, no matter what happens, it's one of the best bonuses you get from any crew skill. 10% every game bonus to your crew training. However, now that they have personal reserves, which are right here, you can get personal reserves with 200% bonus. So Mentor at 10% is really small. And I don't use Mentor anymore. I removed it from all of my commanders because I'm going to be using the crew experience on personal reserves. You'll see I have 29. I've got a lot of personal reserves. I play the game to win as many personal reserves as possible so I can use them to continue training up my crew. Eagle Eye is kind of a novelty. Obviously, there's a skill behind using it and there's a benefit. However, I haven't used it. I think I did use it on one game, but I don't remember when or where. I don't remember. But I would like to use it someday, but I think it's going to be far in the future. Maybe next year I'll have Eagle Eye. So this is what I recommend. BIA, Sixth Sense, Jack of all trades, either situational awareness or recon, giving the priority to situational awareness because it does double the distance of recon. Then I would choose concealment, and then firefighting because I usually have repair kits, and then I would do repairs, and then Eagle Eye, and then I would actually make Mentor last, which is kind of not very useful because by the time you do that, everyone else will have their skill trained all the way up anyway, so it becomes kind of useless. Mentor has more benefit the earlier you use it. Way further down, it won't really help you anymore. Now let's move on to the gunner. This is going to be some contradictions to things I've said in earlier videos. Obviously, you're going to have BIA. Deadeye is a 3% bonus, which means 1 out of every 33 shots is going to do extra damage. If you fire 10 shots per game, that means 1 shot out of every 3 games is going to give you the extra damage. If you have a gun that fires rapidly, you get more benefit because you're firing more shots. It's all going to work out to 3% anyway. But it's just going to be used more often. The other alternative that I use is designated target. The designated target keeps the enemy spotted 2 seconds longer. I believe that I would use that every game except for the city maps, and in some games more than once per game. So I believe that designated target is more valuable than Deadeye, and I give a lower priority to Deadeye. After BIA, I usually start training Snapshot, and the reason why is Snapshot reduces your dispersion, which makes it aim faster, makes it more accurate, etc. So you want to have Snapshot on almost, I have it on every tank. Even the tank destroyers and the SPGs, I got it on everything. So then you have concealment. You want to, being hidden is very important. So I am on the front lines. I need to stay hidden. You look at my games, you'll see I'm always close to the enemy. I need to be hidden as much as possible. Armor, however, is also very important because it's a skill, so you don't have to have it at 100% before you can start using it. It improves the accuracy of a damaged gun. Now you know that your gun gets damaged in a game occasionally, and certain guns get damaged more often than others. For example, if you play a heavy tank, you have more close combat. People are going to hit your gun more often. I believe that the gun gets damaged more often when I play in a heavy tank, or perhaps in a light tank also. So that's why you might want to use that. I kind of save it for a little bit later. However, I might choose this before repairs or firefighting, because again, repairs and firefighting have a lot to do with how many other crew members have the same skill and what consumables you're using. So there's a chance I might do designated target next, and then maybe armor next, and then maybe repairs and firefighting. But I definitely say Snapshot. Makes your gun more accurate. Make this high priority. Did not do that in my earlier recommendations. Okay, now let's move on to the driver. Of course, you got BIA. Smooth Ride makes your gun more accurate. That's what it does. I recommend you doing it as soon as possible. I use a concealment because, as I explained before, off-road driving. I've tested this on light tanks. It works wonders. It makes my tanks a lot faster going up hills and things like that on the dirt and the sand and things like that. So I highly recommend that if you need to drive fast. I'm going to repeat repairs and firefighting. Now the ramming, obviously some tanks get rammed more often than others, especially in the lower tiers. I don't think I'm going to use controlled impact next. Clutch braking, you need that on tank destroyers. For medium tanks, I would say no. Preventative maintenance reduces the chance you get an engine fire. Now, if you had preventative maintenance, you have less reliance on the automatic fire extinguisher and less reliance on the firefighting skill. So getting preventative maintenance frees up a lot of slots and crew skills, and I highly recommend it. This is probably what I'm going to get next. What I'm probably going to do is I'm going to keep the Smooth Ride because gun is a very high priority, and I'll probably keep off-road driving and then preventative maintenance, and then I'll probably add concealment as my 5th skill, and I'll use the reset option. Okay, so then we move on to the radio operator. BIA, situational awareness. If I had to do it over again, it would be my next choice would be situational awareness and concealment. You follow the regular rules with BIA, which means you get your first skill and then you add this later. For a fast tank, you can go and check your service record and see how much spotting you do with each tank. If you do a lot of spotting, you're going to want the call for vengeance. If it's like a TOG I don't do any spotting with, don't need the call for vengeance. I do more spotting with any tank. You can take any tank in my garage and I probably spot more than you do. My TOG probably spots more than your TOG. That's from my experience from researching all of my tanks and comparing to other players. I do more spotting. The signal boosting is very important if you go very far away. It's more important in the lower tiers. And if you're one of the few tanks left in the end of the game, these signal boosting options are kind of important. But I don't have them on any of my tanks yet, but I would like to add them hopefully next year. So now we move on to the loader. And this is going to contradict some of the previous things I've said. Get to BIA as soon as you can. Safe stowage. Put this on every tank. The reason why is because safe stowage prevents you from getting ammo racked. Excuse me. I'm sorry, it reduces the chance you get ammo racked. Okay, so you say, well, you don't get ammo racked that often. However, your ammo rack gets hit often, and you have to take more time to reload, and you have to use a repair kit. So this reduces the chance your ammo rack is going to take damage, less likely for your tank to explode, less likely to affect your reload time, less likely to need a repair kit. Safe stowage, very important. Camo, I chose firefighting on this case over repairs because it's a medium tank. Adrenaline rush is also something that I use on some tanks. If there's two loaders, I will do one with safe stowage and one with adrenaline rush. But this is a case it reloads faster if you have less than 10% of your hit points left. How often does that happen? If it takes 5 shots to kill you, that means that the 5th shot, you're going to have around 10% of your hit points left. So it's going to be the end of the game, and you've already been shot 4 times, and how many shots are you going to get out? Maybe only 2 shots per game, 1 or 2 shots might be affected by this. And the faster reload time, you get 1 extra shot every 10 shots. So you'd have to have less than 10% of your hit points left and fire 10 shots in order to get an 11th shot in as a bonus. So it's a bonus, but it's not going to come into play as often as you really want it to. Intuition, unless you really, really love this, I don't recommend it. I think it's a waste of time. Okay, so that's my recommendation for crew skills. Keep in mind, as I said, certain ones like safe stowage and the preventative maintenance can have a large effect on whether you have a repair kit and a fire extinguisher and using up slots and how it affects other crew skills, so they are high priority things. Getting the 0 skill BIA crew members is awesome. I'm going to easily get to 5 skills simply because I have those 0 skill BIAs and the ones that were awarded from the campaign missions. Okay, so those are medium tanks. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.